As we are implementing social psychology of risk at Mondi, we would like to share some thoughts about the fundamentals of this journey. Brian, thank you for joining for a cup of coffee.
Thank you for the invite, Lars.
Brian, we are implementing the engagement board. Can you tell us a little bit more about the 3 icons which we are using there?
Yeah, so we thought we would anchor the organization with our 3 icons. So the first one being the workspace controls. These are the physical aspects of what we do at work. Risk assessment, safe work procedures, training, hazard hunting, engineering controls, etc. The second one is the headspace, and that is the psychological element. So how, whatever we do, how does it impact our employees, the people that work for us? And the third one being our group space, which is the cultural elements and the group dynamics of what we do.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about the concept of 1 brain, 3 minds?
So Lars, a lot of leaders think we think with our brain. We actually have 1 brain, but we have 3 minds. The first one being the slow, the conscious mind. The second one being the intermediate mind. And the third one being the fast mind, the unconscious mind, the mind that never switches off. To give you an example, let's use learning to drive. So when you're learning to drive, you're in the conscious mind, mind 1. You think about all the controls. Then you move to this intermediate mind where you start focusing only on specific items. No longer the feet and the clutch and the accelerator, but maybe still the flicker looking over your shoulder. And then eventually after a couple of months, you're used to driving and now you drive in unconscious. It becomes an automatic behavior. And we all know sometimes we drive somewhere, we get to our destination and we can't remember the route because we've been driving in this unconscious mind.
Okay, Brian, that was interesting. You are also talking very often about the embodied mind. Can you explain a little bit more about this one?
Yeah, now you get me excited because this is one of my favorite subjects. So often people think, again, we only think with our brain, but we think with our whole body. So we think with our head, heart and gut, for example, amongst others. Then we have the gut feel. And this is often if you're driving your car and you want to overtake, you don't measure how far the car is or what distance you're going to be traveling, how fast they're driving. You have gut feel that I can overtake this truck and get in time. Put yourself in the same scenario with your grandchild sitting in the back seat. When you get to that truck, you're probably not going to overtake because you're now thinking with your heart and not your gut. And when we're in the workplace, it's exactly the same. People do things by gut feel and by their heart as well.
This have been quite some interesting explanations and inspiring examples. So how would you summarize the 3 issues of the icons, the 1 brain, 3 minds and the embodied mind?
As you know, we think in our 3 minds as well as the embodied mind. And therefore it's important that leaders understand that we're not only in a conscious mind the whole time. And therefore we've implemented our engagement board process that really drives the discussion from the unconscious to the conscious and from objects to people. And I believe having these tools in our language, in the way we do business in Mondi, will make a huge difference.
Talking about unconscious, we would like now to invite you, the viewer, into our conversation. Did you really consciously follow our conversation, the conversation between Brian and myself? Let's admit, of course, the topics were quite interesting, but the conversation itself was relatively dry.
So as humans, we believe we are consciously aware of everything that's happening around us. So during the shooting of this video, there were some changes made purposely. So let's show you what those changes were.
So did you recognize the changes? Brian and myself swapped the shirts. We did some changes on the table. And if you recognized also in the background, Agavan moved in.
And also I changed my watch. We removed the plant behind us. And the team at the back made a switch as well. So I wonder how many of those changes you noticed, if any. But don't be alarmed. This is natural. It's called attention blindness or change blindness. We tend to focus on certain elements and miss what's happening around us with the conscious mind. So let's use an example. Place your finger in front of your face and focus only on your finger, and you'll notice how everything in the background blurs out. Let's now try another experiment, and you can try this with your friends and family. Take their watch and then ask them to sketch the watch, and you'll be amazed how much we miss when sketching that watch. This is no different in safety. We need to be aware of our surroundings and what's happening around us, and not only on what we are focusing on.
And by the way, I changed my shirt again.
And did you notice I shaved my beard? Did we get you one last time?